Hope you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Coming up.
So guys, welcome to Mumbai MuleSoft Meetup group in collaboration with Guwahati Meetup group. And today we are conducting our day 8 training. And in today's training, we will going to cover a DataWeave transformation. So we're going to cover one of a few important operator and few important concept of the DataWeave. So, safe harbor statement, both the speaker and host are organizing this meetup in the individual capacity. We are not representing any organization or companies here. The presentation is strictly for learning purpose. We are not holding any responsibility whether the same solution will work for your requirement. You have to do your own evaluation. The presentation is not meant for any promotional activity. It is just for the learning purpose. We will going to upload the recording to the event page within 24 hours, and we're going to email the details like details of like the recording and whatever code generated as a part of this particular session. We're going to email everything to you. You can submit the question at any time. Try to make session more interactive as possible. You always ask for some kind of feedback from you. So yeah, because it helps us to improve for the future meetups. So the organizer and speaker is for meetup with Jitendra, and Abhishek is also there. He's also a speaker. He will be also taking the second part of the DataWeave transformation. Me and Abhishek are also moderator for this particular event. I will just skip this slide. We already talked, like we already learned a lot of things in our last 7 session. We have gone through a complete API-led connectivity architecture. We have implemented system API, process API. Then we have implemented experience API. We have also implemented API auto discovery for all the APIs. Then we also apply various API policies, and we have published the API to any point exchange to the developer portals. We have seen everything. We have seen end-to-end life cycle. We have also developed the RAML. We also gone through a various component that can be used with a RAML to enable or to implement the reusability. So we have seen the complete API lifecycle. We have also deployed our application to the cloud of 2.0. We have talked about everything, right, in our previous session. I will just skip all this slide. So in last, we also talk about the error handling. We also discuss about the error handling, right? We last session, what is the global error handling? Like how we can build the experience API, like how we can deploy the process API and experience API to the cloud. We have talked about all these things in our last session. In today's session, we're going to cover. We will just introduce a data view. Then the session completely focus on the practical things. We will see the transformation. We will see data view playground, how we can convert the message from one format to another format. We will talk about data view arrays, the map and filter, map object and filter object, which are very very critical and very very important operator that we use every day. I am using this particular operator every day. Then we have a group by, pluck, reduce, then calling Java function using DataWeave, then how we can externalize the DataWeave, right? So these are the things we will going to cover. So I will cover some of the concept, and Abhishek will going to cover some of the operator and some of the concept of the DataWeave. Any question? Okay, no question. I will move forward. So what is a data view? Anybody is aware like what is a data view? What is the importance of the data view? Why we use the data view? It's a very powerful powerful component, or it's a powerful scripting language provided by MuleSoft. With data view you can perform any kind of complex transformation very easily. Like it provide all the required libraries, all the required components that you can use within the data view to transform the message from one format to another format, or maybe to one form to another form. So that is where we use the data wave transformation. So basically, when two systems are communicating with each other, right? So maybe you want to establish the communication between the SAP and Salesforce system. So the message which you are coming from the Salesforce, that will not going to understand by the SAP system, right? So you have to transform that particular message. Maybe you are getting the order in the JSON format from the Salesforce, and you want to transform that message to the IDOC format, right? Using DataWeave, like you want to convert into the SAP IDOC format, right? So you can use the DataWeave transformation basically. Maybe like you have another system, you have a Salesforce, and you have another system they both understood the JSON message, right? But the JSON format is different for both the systems. So you have to transform the message when before sending to the end system, so it can easily understand that particular message. So that is where a DataWeave transformation is very useful, right? So we have seen in our previous session, we have used the component called transform message, where we are writing our DataWeave script, right, for transforming the message from one format to another format. So that is where a DataWeave is very, very useful, right? It is used for the data transformation. So there might be possibility you have a system which send a JSON message, the another system understand in the XML format, right? So you can use the DataWeave transformation to convert a XML JSON into the XML format. So that is where a DataWeave is very important platform. Okay, let me go back to my presentation. So DataWeave is a language, is a scripting language. It's a or we can it is provided by MuleSoft. It's a completely a DataWeave platform or DataWeave language is completely developed by MuleSoft to to change the data from one format to another format or to one form to another form, right? So like for example, DataWeave is a tool that receives data for you, right? It can convert from JSON to XML, XML to CSV, CSV to JSON. It can transform one format to another format very easily. It is basically a translator for your data. So DataWeave is nothing, it's a scripting language which is provided by MuleSoft, which is completely integrated with your Anypoint Studio, right? And it also provide a rich set of library, right? A very rich library that and which provide many functions that you can directly utilize it into your DataWeave basically. So you have a various array function, you have a various string function, you have a various mathematical functions. So there are n number of functions are available. So you can use those functions directly into your DataWeave to perform any kind of transformation, to do any kind of manipulation, to do any kind of calculation, right? So we will going to talk about those functions and everything, like yeah. Any question? So let me start with some kind of if you want to add anything like on this data, we feel free to add something, like if you want to add something. Okay. So as I mentioned, like if you see, we have something called transform message component, right? So where you can write your DataWeave script basically, right? So MuleSoft provide a transform message component where you can write your DataWeave script, right? We have seen that. So this is one of the example. So that is where you can write the DataWeave, right? So generally, but there is also one online platform available. So that is known as a DataWeave playground, which is known as a DataWeave like datawave.mulesoft.com. So this is the online platform. So generally it is very good platform. Generally, I generally don't write direct code into the transform message. I first try to generate the output here. I just provide some kind of input here. Then I write a script here. So you can see the live output is generated here basically, right? So first I always prefer to write it here, and then I just whatever code script, whatever I written here, I just copy paste into my transformation. That is what that is the approach I take in my live projects also. Okay. So let me start. So I will just start with a simple thing, right? So I have one example. I will take one of the example here. I will take a simple example. So this is my input message. I will copy this input message. Okay. I will go to playground. Here you can see select the MMI type, CSV, JSON, what format. So my input is a JSON format. I just paste this, right? And I will just remove this. Always I start with percentage DW 2.0. Then you can define output. Okay. What output you are expecting? Application slash JSON. Then 1, 2, 3. If you write a payload, so it is same output, input and output is same, right? So you can see my input and output is same, right? But I want my like all this keys, right? ID, name must be in the capital letter, right? So what you can do, you can put bracket here, and I can just say ID and payload. Just simple example. I'm starting with simple example payload.id name. Then I can just say there is a simple approach also. We're going to talk about that also. Payload dot name. Okay. Either you can put double quotes also, which is also fine. This is just starting with a simple example. Then I can just say department payload.department, then salary, you can just say payload dot salary. It's a very simple example. So that is how, like, if you want to access any value from the payload, it is always payload dot. Generally, this is known as an object, right? It's a single object, right? Where if you want to access, like, some kind of ID, right? You can just say payload dot ID, payload dot name. If this is the array, right? If I put this as an array, like, you are getting the value, but which is not correct, which is in the form of array. So if you want to access the value from the first array, you can put payload 0, payload 0. So 0 is nothing, it's the first index of your array basically, right? We will talk about, like, if there is a multiple object into the array, how you work with those. We're going to talk on that. Just try to understand what I'm trying to do. So this is a simple example. So what you can do, if you want to access the first object in the array, you just say payload square bracket 0, that is the index of the array object, and that is how you can access it. Okay, I want to convert this into XML. How I can do it? Right, I want to convert this into XML. I can simply put XML. Will this work? It will not work, right? Because you have to put some kind of, because XML always start with some kind of tag, right? So it always required a root tags basically. So I can put as a employees. Now it's working, right? Employees and there. Now if I put it array, whether it will work or not. Right? It is working. Let me put some kind of value like this. It is failing, right? Because these are multiple object. So what you can do, you can also put something called employee, like that. So employees, under that we have a multiple employee, like that. Okay. So that is how you can convert a simple a JSON message into your XML message. Any question?
Nothing in chat.
So I'm just starting with simple thing, then we will move into the complex part basically. Okay, so this is the first thing which we have done, right? Let me pick a second example. Let me check what is in second example. Yeah. So we're going to talk about a map operator. Okay, so now if you want to iterate, so I, like, initially if we have just a single object into the array, we just use the index and we are able to convert everything into the capital letter here, right? But now my requirement is, like, I have to iterate through each and every field, each and every object into the array, and I want to convert into capital letter, all keys into the capital letter. We have something called map operator. So map operator is always iterate to the array of the object. Okay, or it will iterate all the object within the array. So you can just say payload, use the map operator, and map operator always read two things. One is value and one is key, right? One is index, sorry, value and index. So if you want to read a value, you use the single dollar. If you want to read an index, you use the double dollar. I will going to show that. Okay. So now I will just say index. I will just write index dollar, double dollar, right? So let me check in payload. Okay. Array.
Um,
1 minute. I'm just checking my array is correct or wrong.
uh,
Okay. Yeah.
JSON
No,
or
yeah, it's a JSON. Okay. So I can just say index, because see, so here you can see we have a, like, if we use the double dollar, it can read the index 0, 1, 2. So this is this object zeroth index, this object first index, this object second index, right? So I will just write a capital index, comma. Now I can write ID, which I can reuse reading dollar. If I say dollar, right, it will read whole object. But I just want to read ID, I can just say dollar dot ID. Right, same thing, department dollar dot department, then salary dollar dot salary, then name, so name, you can see that, right? So index at zeroth index, first index, second index, right? This is the how you can read it. Okay, now I just want, like, I want to read those those employee record whose salary is greater than 50,000. So here what I can do in on the payload, we have something called filter operator. So if you want to filter a object into your array, right, use the filter operator. So I can just put filter, and here I can just say dollar dot salary which is greater than 50,000. So here you will see just two records. So you can use the filter basically, right? Got it? So here you can use the filter object. In filter you can put a multiple condition also, and I can just say and dollar dot department is equals to IT. So it will give me a one record, one object, right? So that's how you can use the filter. Whenever you want to filter out an object into your array, right, you use the filter operator. And whenever you want to iterate through the array of object, right, you use the map operator. We have something called map object and filter object also. We're going to see that. But for now, whenever you want to filter out like object into your array, right, whenever you want to filter out the field or data into your array, you use the filter operator. And whenever you want to iterate through the object into your array, you use the map operator, right? So that is where the map operator and this filter object operator is very important. Let me copy this. Okay, so now there's another syntax. I will go through another syntax. So we have something called lambda syntax. So I can, instead of this, I can just define my own variable. Instead of dollar, dollar, or dollar, I can just say items comma index or idx. I will just put simple idx. Okay, instead of that I can use this. Okay, and I can put this one. This is the another syntax, right? And now if you want to access the value, instead of dollar, if you want to access the index, you use the idx, right? And here you use the item. Let me check. I'm missing comma. Okay, what was missing here, let me check.
Items dot department. Then in salary you need to remove dollar.
No, salary is not an issue. Yeah, you are right, dollar is the issue, you are correct. But still, I why it's throwing error on, okay, items dot here also. Here map. Okay, you can say it's bracket mistake, so it's a curly bracket. So here you can see, like, you have a index 0, and, like, if it filter out, filter dollar dot salary, and here item. So see, there's a two way. Either you can access item using dollar, you can declare your own variables, and index using double dollar, or either you can use idx. Basically, you can declare your own variables basically, right? So that is the multiple way of using your filter and the map operator basically. Any question on this? Any question?
Nothing in chat.
Give me 2 minutes, okay? And we will talk about the. Okay, so let me start with map object also. So I will just start with simple thing first. Okay. So let me copy this one of the object. Then we will see how we can use the map operator and map object together. Okay. I will just open a new DataWeave playground. Okay. And map object return three things. Okay. So map operator return like a value which is represented by single dollar, which is value. Is written double dollar, which is represent as a key. So we can read this key also, right? Triple dollar means index, right? So dollar, it's written value, double dollar it's written key, and triple dollar it's written index. Okay, let's see. So like I can use payload. So whenever you want to work with a single object, right, you use a map object. Map object. Either you can declare this particular uh, syntax. I will just start with simple one first. So now here I want to make sure like, within this particular map object, right, it will iterate through each and every field, like iterate through each and every field into your object. So I want to upper everything, upper, and key will represent by dollar, and I want to upper a value also. Okay, so let me check what is happening here. Just give me a second. Map object always return. Just give me a second, okay? So some syntax issue is there. I'm trying to fix it. Payload map object is correct.
Uh, yeah, bracket for this one.
Yeah, I think bracket is the problem. Yeah. So you can see I easily able to make this, always put a bracket. So easily I'm able to make the key as a, see, you can see the ID. Like it will iterate. See, map object iterate through ID first. It make this as a capital. Then it will iterate through name. Right? Make this as a capital. Iterate through department. Make this as a capital. Otherwise, I can use this as a lower also. But now I just want to display ID and name only. Right? I don't want to display department and the salary. So what I can do here, I can use something called filter object. Right? So if you see 0, 1, so anything with the index less than 2, right? So you can use this particular thing, right? So the display those. So for accessing index, I can use triple dollar less than 2. So it will just display name and ID like that. Okay. So like that, you can play with your map object and the filter object. If I want to say greater than 2, so then it will just display a salary 0, 1, and 2 basically. Right? If I say greater than 1, it will display department and the salary like that, right? So like that you can play with your map object. So like if you see the earlier, if you want, if whenever you want to make the keys as a upper, right, we have iterate through each and every key. We have iterate through each and everything, right? We are just saying ID, we are defining each and everything, right? So here we simply put this particular syntax, it automatically does for you basically. Like let me check, go with another syntax, right? So where I can always just say items, comma, keys, comma, index, ITX. Okay. Here I always put this, and okay. So okay, it's instead of double dollar you can use keys, and instead of single dollar you can use the items. Right? You got the same output. Okay. So that is where you use the map and the map object, filter object, map object, right? Map and map operator. Can we use this together? Yes, we can do that. I will going to showcase you. Before that, any question on this? Is this clear? Okay. So now my requirement is that whatever everything, like whatever inside this particular array, right? I want to make all keys as a capital. So keys cannot be accessed using the map operator, but it can be accessed using the map object operator. So I will iterate to each and every object first. Then within that object, I will iterate to each and every field, right? So I can use the first, I will use the map operator. Then to iterate to each and every object, each and every field, I will use the map object operator. Okay, so I will just remove this for now. Okay, And let me, if I want to use the two things together, I will change the bracket first, right? And I will just say items. So this is nothing item. The item will give the whole payload, this whole object, right? And then I can use the map object, right? Within map object, I can just say enter, and I can just say upper. Accessing key is dollar dollar. Then I can just say dollar. See, right? So, but I can remove the condition also. I don't need condition. So here you can see everything has been converted into upper very easily. So for what we have done, we have iterated to each and every object in the array using map operator. Then we want to iterate to each and every fields within the object. So we have used the map object operator. So we have used both operator together, right? Very simple, right? We have used the both operator together, right? Any question on this? Now I want to filter. I want to filter whose salary is greater than 40,000. So I can put filter. First, I'm filtering the object into the array. So I can just say dollar dot salary greater than 40,000. Okay. So, or everybody has 40,000. I will just reduce this to 38. So I get two salaries, right? Now I just want to display index department and salary, right? So how can I do that? So how can we do that? Anybody? Anyone? Okay, let's try. Filter object where index is 0, 1 greater than 1. So here I use everything together. The first I have iterated to the each and every object in array and also filter out whose salary is greater than 40,000. Then I've used the filter object to iterate to each and every field into the object. Then also I just want to display whose index is greater than 1. I just want to display department and salary. So I put the filter object triple dollar is greater than 1. As simple as that, right? So I've used filter, map, filter object, and map object everything together. Any question on this? Very simple syntax, right? Yeah, like you need to know where to use which, like which operator. That is very important. Now, I want to do one thing. I want to add status after the name. Basically, I want to add status after the name, which is active. How can we do that? Anyone? Okay, so let's do that. So I will remove everything and I will remove this dollar. I don't want any filter, right? And now I can put something called items dot filter items dot map object curly bracket, and I just want specifically I want to put after name. Okay, so what I can do if so how I can access the key dollar dollar, right? If dollar as string which is equals to name, right? I can do that, which is equals to name. Then I can just say upper okay, what I want to upper key. Then I can just put a dollar. Okay, else I will just copy same statement. Okay, so I can remove filter and everything. I can just keep it simple. 1 minute, something is filter. Okay, so here you can see I got that right, and I want to put the active status, right? So I can put comma status is active. So you can see the active status came after the name. So in map object, I'm saying whenever you find the name, right, a name key, right, you just put the status active. Otherwise, you just put upper the key and just put the value, right? So that's how you can manipulate using map and map object operators. Okay, any question on this? Okay, now I will ask few questions. Can we access a key in map operator? Anyone? Hello? Can we access a key in the map operator?
Please try, guys. This is just for learning. Yes, no, anything. Okay, so Rangarao say no.
Correct. This is correct. We cannot. We in map object operator and filter object operator we can access a first value, which represent as a dollar if you don't declare the variable. Then the second is a key, right, which is represented by double dollar, and third is the triple dollar, which is index. In case of map operator, the dollar represent a value and double dollar represent the index. Same thing goes with the filter. Filter and map work with the array of object, whereas map object and the filter object works with a single object, right? So that's how you can work, right? So that's how you can decide which operator you want to use in your DataWeave transformation. Okay, so that's one of the things. So let me talk about few array kind of operations. Okay, so we're going to talk about this one library called arrays. So where are a lot of things provided. Let me go through that. Let me open Google and I will just say DataWeave. So here you have something called DW core. So these are the many libraries available. So you have a crypto library, you have a lot of libraries, right? So we're going to see this particular library now. Under that, we will going to see few functions like something called we will see every, sum, count by, sum by. Those are the functions we're going to see in our demo now. Okay. So let me do one thing. Let me open the DataWeave. Let me see if I have file. Take this. Let me take some another file. I have a file with more record also. Not this one. Let me see if I can found it here. I can take this file. Okay, this is my file. The first thing I have to import the array library. Import dw core arrays. Right now, I want to check whether anybody have a salary greater than 30,000. Some, like at least some people must have a salary greater than 5,000, right? 50,000, 40,000. So let me do thing. So there is some operator. So I will just say some employee salary greater than 30,000. Okay. So I can just say, okay. So if you like first thing, I want to show you something. If you want to access any value from the array, right? So you have a simple syntax called payload dot salary. So you can access all this. Can you please go on mute? You can access all the salary basically like that. If you want to access age, whatever age, you can just put dot age like that. Okay. So now in my DataWeave, I have a salary, right? I want to display the salary. I want to display like, is there any employee whose salary is greater than 30,000? It should return true or false. So I can just say payload dot salary sum. I can just say dollar greater than 30,000. Okay, let me check why this syntax unable to resolve. I don't know why it's happening. Let me check. It should not happen like that. Unable to resolve dollar payload dot salary, which is correct. If I just remove this, right, I'm getting all the salary. But if I put some, its array is not recognized. Let me check.
Import star from menu.
Yeah, I think import start from, yeah, something is here. I can put some dollar greater than 30,000. So here it return true. So I have a people whose salary is greater than 30,000. I can use the same syntax. This is syntax one. Okay, there is another syntax. Same. But this time I will just say 20,000. You can use sum in front of this sum. I can remove all this thing. Then instead of that, you can use the lambda expression value this and value greater than 20,000. Okay. Some okay, one more bracket. Payload salary value. Okay. So here I am saying this is using lambda expression. This is a simple payload dot or salary sum. You can use the syntax like that also, right? Now we have a every function. So we will check every employee must have a salary greater than 20,000. I'll copy this both the syntax. Instead of that, I will use every. I will just change this to every. Right? So every have a greater than 40,000, 30,000 no. Right? There are few employees, but every employee doesn't have a salary greater than 30,000. Every employee, you can change this to every. I will just change 10,000. Here it is again saying I can just change this to 1. So yes, every employee have a salary greater than 10,000. So these are the some of the operator I can use. Now I can use account salary. Okay. So I want to count the salary basically. Count total salary. Okay, count total salary or count employee salary greater than 10,000 or 20,000. So it will count the number of employees whose salary is greater than 20,000. I will use the simple syntax one, salary. You can use the count by function, right? Under that, you can use something called dollar dot greater than 20,000. So there are 3 employees. If you see the output is generated here, whose salary is greater than 20,000. I will use the another syntax here also. Instead of that, I can use the count by outside, and internal I can use the lambda expression. Put comma, can just say value, and I can just say value greater than 30,000. So there are 2 employees whose salary is greater than 30,000. Now I want to sum the salary, right? I'll copy this to as it is. Instead of count by, I will use the sum by. Sum, and I can just change it to sum by. Okay, let me check. 1 minute. Sum by syntax seems to be wrong. Okay. Yeah, in sum by you like if like in sum by you have to use one more thing. Like here you have to check whether like if the salary is not greater than 20,000, then you have to consider as a else. So you can just say if dollar dot greater than 20,000, then you consider dollar else 0. Okay, same thing you have to do it here. If value is greater than 30,000, then we have a value else 0. Okay, so here you can see it. So you get some employees greater than 20,000, right? So it's not, it's greater than 30,000 just, right? So you can see there are total is 90,000. For employee salary greater is 1,20,000 basically, right? So that's how you can use this array operator basically. So there are various other operator. So you have a like inner join, you have a like every like slice, partition. There are many. right? Many things are there basically. Okay, so this is what how you can play with your array basically. Right now, let me open one more file which is known as a CSV file. How you can play with a CSV file. Then I will give the session to Abhishek to to talk about the other things. So this one. I will upload all the codes. Okay. Now here I will take another data view. I will place this CSV file and I will change this to CSV. Here also I can define input payload. And what is the input payload type? Application slash CSV. Right? And here you can just say payload. So I want to convert my payload CSV into JSON. So simply it converted into JSON format. So it whatever headers are there by default header are true. If I say header equals to false. If I say header is equals to false, it will consider first as a value, first row as a value also, right? So you can see column 0, it automatically generate column 0, 1, 2, 3 with value, right? If I say you can define a separator also, input parameter is separator, which is equals to, if I put this, right? So there is a no separator for anything, right? It's a comma separator, but I put as a pipe. So it will consider everything as a single field, right? So I can just change it to comma and I can just change this to true. Right, so this is how it can generate a CSV. And if you want to iterate through each and everything, I can use the map operator. And I just want to display something called like name. Okay, I want to display the name, right? First name and last name. So I can just say first name dollar dot first name, last name dollar dot last name, right? So you can display like that. So you can iterate through because this is again like array of object, right? Multiple objects basically, right? So like that. If you want to filter out, just say filter dollar dot department is equals to finance. So I just want the finance people basically, right? So that's how you can play with your CSV files also. You generally get a lot of requirement where you have to convert CSV to JSON and just send it to some other systems, right? Yeah. Any question? So before I hand over this session to Abhishek, he will going to talk about various other operators basically, right? Any question?
The library which you defined, can we custom define that library and use into?
You can use the you can write a Java functions and you can call those Java function into a library using import form, right? So I think Abhishek will going to talk on that. Abhishek, right?
Yeah, I will show that
Yeah,
regarding custom functions and using that.
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Thanks, Abhishek. You can pick it from here. I will just go on mute.
Yeah, sure. So I'm just sharing my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. Okay. So I will first start with two function, that is flatten and reduce, which is again very commonly used. And what's the difference for that? Okay. So you can see in my screen, I have two different tables, I can say. One is the employee detail and one is the employee level. In this, my employee details contain the employee details with ID, name, and level. And the employee level contains, like, if it is level 10, then what is the position, like that. Okay. So I want to combine this two into a single array so that I can get all this information in a single place. Okay. So what I will do is I will iterate array over an array. Okay. So as Jackie already shared, like how the map operator work. So I am using map. Okay. In that, I took my first table as employee detail and then my next one as my employee level. Fine. In this, so the value is coming from my employee detail, which is this one. So I will write value. Okay. Just give me a minute. Okay. Then with this, I want to filter the values which are matching with this level. Okay. So, and I also want the detail for this. So what I will do is I will also add this one. Okay. So both are combined, but in this, I don't want to show the level part. Okay. I will minus this level, which is coming from my this one. Okay. But here you can see this are repeated. Okay. I have not used the filter where I'm matching the employee levels so that I can get the correct position. So here I will use filter so that my val dot employee level is equal to my dollar dot level. And now you can see, so employee level for Jitendra is 10. The level name is principal architect. And for me, 9, and it is technical architect. So this came over here. But with that, we have nested arrays. So array within array. Okay. So this is not in a normal array form. So if I want to do that, I need to do something. I need to use a function which is flatten. Okay. So once I do that, it comes into normal array of object formats. Okay. So flatten is used when we want to make our nested array into a simple array format. Okay, that's where we use flatten. Now the same can be done with something called reduce. Okay, dollar dollar plus dollar. So it will also give you the same thing, but now what's the difference and where we should decide whether we need to use flatten or reduce. Okay, that again will come up. Okay, where what's the difference and why we should use flatten where there is a nested array instead of reduce, and what other things reduce can do. So this is one aspect of doing this. Now what other things reduce can do? So now suppose I have an array where I have 1 2 and 3. Okay, I want to sum it up. I want to have a sum of this. So what I can do is here I can use reduce, again accumulator. Okay, accumulator plus item. So it gives me the sum. So here if you use flatten, that will not work because the work of flatten is only to remove the nested arrays and bring it into a single array. Okay, but here I can use reduce. What accumulator do? Accumulator holds the intermediate value and item holds the last value, and this helps to iterate over this. If I say plus plus, that is doing it as a string, so it will combine all this, right? If I have an array of objects, suppose, okay, I have an array of object, say I have id. For now I will remove this. I say 1, and then I have another object where I have name. Okay, so these two are in two different objects, but I want to combine into a single one as an object. If I use reduce, it will do it for me. Okay, so that's what reduce and flatten are used for, but what's the difference? Okay, let me bring that up. So change the structure by removing one level of nested in array. Array of array conversion is done. Always a single level of array it provides. Okay, single function call, like it doesn't do any other thing apart from converting the nested array into an array format. Okay, uh, so if you only want to flatten array, you use flatten, but reduce, it can work on it works on an array, but within an array it can work on array, it can work on object, number, and string. Okay, whatever it is given. But the difference is reduce is very heavy. Okay, performance wise, like it is less performant and more resource intensive, so it takes more resource when you use that. So whenever you want to do a nested array thing, always go with flatten, because that is lighter weighted and the performance is very high. But apart from that, if you want to do something where like this kind of stuff where we want to sum, or uh, you want to concat the strings or something where you need reduce, there you can use that. Okay, and this is like very useful feature functions which is very frequently used. Any question on this? No. Okay, so next I will go with pluck. Okay, so here you have seen that your reduce has converted this array into object. Similarly, your pluck do the reverse. The pluck help to convert your uh, object into array. Okay, it helps you to convert your object into array. So suppose there are something like, instead of this I have got id which is coming into the same object, but I want that into a different array format so that I can iterate, I can move forward and iterate. So that's where you can use pluck, where it converts your object into array. And this, same as map object, it follows the format of dollar dollar dollar, which is your index. So if I do it dollar dollar, so that is my index. Dollar dollar is the key and your dollar is the value. Okay, that's where the pluck is used to convert your object into array. And all this will be also your interview questions, or your in your exam you can get it. Another one is group by. Okay, so I have an example where I have a CSV. Okay, and the output I want is something like this. Okay, let me make it something like that. So I want the output like this, where if you see my input, the ones are repeated, okay, which have a different value. The twos are repeated. Okay, now I want to group it so that I get one into a single array, two in another array, and third in its individual array. And I need to add a sequence where for one, if it is a group, 1, 2, 3 will be its sequence. If the group changes, the sequence changes, like that. Okay. So first thing is how you will group it. Okay. What function you will use so that it's get grouped. So anyone, how can we achieve this one? Anyone want to give a try? No? Okay. So I want to achieve this. So what I will do is, first let me group it. Okay. Now group it by what? So you see ID is repeating. I want to group it by ID. So I can use dollar dot. Okay. So now this has grouped it for me. My grouping is done. Okay. So that's where you use your group function. Okay. Let me just remove it for now. And now moreover, if you want to add a sequence, okay, and basically you might use this for XMLs where you want to provide some IDs, okay, to your namespaces for your tags. Okay, so I have this group by. Within this group by have this map object. Okay, this object which is a array format, sorry, this array format which is a map. So I want to add a sequence to this to understand, like, this all group has its own sequence, this have its own sequence. So what I can do is, this is an object, so I will use a map object on top of this. Okay, within this I have my key. okay, which is my 1, and then I have my value. Okay, so this is my value part. This value is a object, so I will use map, and in this I will say something like this. Let me check my brackets. Oh, sorry, it should be $. Yeah. So now this is achieved. Okay. So I first group by, and then using that group by, I have added my sequence to this. Okay. Any question on this? Anyone? If I want to do that, the same thing, something for my XML. So I have this code, okay, where using the same logic. Now you see, this is my ID. This is having a sequence 1, 2, 3, the values. Then the ID changes, it's having its own sequence. The ID changes, it's have its own sequence. So you are grouping on the basis of the IDs, and then you are applying your map object logic on that. You're sequencing on that, and then you're retrieving the data back from that. Okay. Any question? Anyone? No? Okay, fine. Now next is substring. Okay. So I have my input. So I will take a JSON. Okay. Say name or say ID again. Okay. And I will say a description, not ID, but message. Okay. And here I just okay, this is my message. Now I want to trim it. Okay, I want to trim it to some length. For example, suppose there are database or Salesforce where you have filled with particular string format, string limit. Okay, the length is fixed. So if you put anything more than that length, it may possible that you get an error saying that it exceeds the length. Okay, that error you can get. So you want to trim it so that you can fit to that particular character. Okay, so in MuleSoft or in DataWeave, the index always start with 0. Okay, so the first character is always start with 0. So one way of doing this is 0 to 10. Okay, payload dot message 0 to 10. So it has trimmed it. Okay, say I will say 0 to 50 or 0 to 30. Okay, so this has trimmed to that particular character. Now one demerit with this is this particular function will work only when the length of your input exceeds the length what we provided here. Okay, if it is less than that, it will give you null. What we can do over here is we can use a substring function. Okay, so to import that, what I need to do is I need to use import star from okay. Now there is a function called substring. So there are different functions. So when I use star and I use string, everything which is related to string I can see over here. Okay, so all this different option I have for string. So I'm using substring. Here what you need to do is there are 3 parameters. Payload dot message, like first is your text, then your starting index, and your and index. Okay, so see, so even though if it doesn't reach the index to 50, still if it comes within that, it will give me the output. If I do 10, it will trim and it will give me the output. Okay, now I have used star. So when I use star, I can use another variable, another function for this, which is within the string function. Okay, say is number or is alphabet, is numeric, is that, and I can use this one. Okay, and this is working. But if I want to use only substring, okay, and if I give only import substring, my other function will not work. So this is a way of calling your functions as well. Okay, only substring will work for me. Now there are a lot of different functions. Okay, you can see over here. So we are dealing with string. Okay, there are different string functions, what you can see, and I will also share this one. But tell me one thing that no one has asked. When I was using map function, or even JK was using map function, like here, we have not imported anything, but we were able to use this. Why that? This is also a function provided by DataWeave only, right? So why this worked, but when I try to use substring, that didn't work. I need to import it as a string function and then I need to use it. Anyone? Yes. So map object, all these are core functions. Okay, this is a list of your core functions. So whenever it is a core function, you don't need to define it additionally. Okay, if it is not a core function, if it belongs to a particular module, you need to define that module and then only you can use it. Like Jackie has shown that sum function, which is under an array module, so he need to define that. Okay, and that's how it work. Now think about, this is predefined functions, okay, substring or all other functions, whatever they're there. But you want to create your own function, for example. Okay, now suppose I have an ID and I am getting my ID as like this, where I have lowercase, uppercase, I have my number. Okay, this is my ID, but the format of ID should be, it should always be upper characters plus numbers, whatever it is, but there should not be any small characters. How you will do it? So one thing is, you are using this as upper, right? So it will convert all of this, right? Instead of this, now suppose I want to replace this small characters. Okay, I don't want the small characters, I want only the upper characters, all the small need to be removed. Okay, we don't consider the small. So what we can use is, there is a function called replace. I can use a regex for this, where I just need the upper character and numbers. So I can say replace anything which is not number and which is not capital. Okay, so this will give you only the upper character and your number. Now think about, you want to use this replace function, you have multiple fields. Okay, and you want to use this value over there as well. Okay, just I'm taking an example as name, suppose. Okay, just an example. So I want to apply this here as well. So one way is, I need to again write this particular function here, copy and paste it, right? But what if I create my own custom function, so that I don't need to repeat this particular logic again and again? Simply I can repeat that function. So what we need to do that for that is, there is a keyword called fun. Okay, here I can define my name as say dream request. Okay, value. So here I need to give my value, and I will put this thing over here, and the payload which I have written, this should come as a value to this. Okay, and here what I will do is I will remove this part. I will remove this. Instead of that, I will call the function through this. See, so this is doing the same thing. So what we did over here is, instead of again and again repeating this particular thing to all different fields what I am using, I've created a reusable function, and wherever I want to apply it, I'm using that function to this. Okay, got it. So Neil, you were asking, right, how to create a function, a custom function, if you want to do that. And you can create n number of functions with respect to your requirement, whatever you want. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Meal, sorry. Meal.
Yeah,
Now,
I was talking about the custom library, like
mhm.
what
Yeah,
Jackie was talking about. You can build your own Java code and import that code
yeah,
into.
that also will show. Like you are talking about the import type, right? Like
Yeah.
the way I have used import. That also I will show you. So this I have created a function, and but this function will be applicable to this script only. So in my application, in my code, there are different data waves, for example, right? So if I write a function, this is an inline function, I can say. If I write a function within a particular data wave, so it will work for this data wave only. But if there are multiple data waves, I want that function also to be imported in other one. How can I do it? So there is a option for moduling it or making a custom module. This is what I have done over here. Okay, so I've created a folder module. In that, I have created a .dwl file which is named as custom function, and I have created a function over here. Okay, what my function do, let me show you here first, and then I will show you there. So this function, when I provide a value for a country code, okay, if I provide the name of the country, it will give me the code for that. Okay, let me remove this, and I will say India, and it has given me the code. Now I want this to be created as a module so that I can repeat this wherever I want it in any other data wave. It is not fixed to one particular script. So I created this module, and how I call it. So one way, if you want to call a particular, now suppose if I have multiple functions over here, okay, the same way what we did it for the substring. So if I want to call substring, so I will say import substring, and then from that, what we used to do that, right? But in this, I want to call my module in which I want to call a particular function. Then to do that, I want to use import, then module, that is the folder name, then the name of your file, that is custom function, and within that file, what is your function. Okay, you call it in this way. That is one way. If not, if you want to use all the functions whatever we have, then again star from, and this is not required now. Okay, I don't need to explicitly again define the file name over here and then calling my function. I just simply say import star from module, and it will provide me that. See, United States. Got it? But this will be in your application level. It will work only for this application. It won't work additionally for other application if you want to do it, because this limits only within this application. To make it global, you can put it on Exchange and you can try that one, but this is how application level you do it. And if you put only the function in your script, that will be your script level thing. Got it? Are we good till this part? Okay. Now the next one is Java. Or before that, externalizing your database. So what does externalizing means? So suppose again, for example, your error code. Okay. So you have your error handling. Okay. Now this is something you get when you first scaffold your RAML. Okay. You get that one when you scaffold your RAML. But you want to customize your data or your output, okay, in your own format, that is something like this. Okay. And you want this to be applied to all different data waves. Okay. Whenever you want to reuse a script to different places, okay, or even though you are not using, but you should externalize your data wave, so that if you are changing something at one location, it will automatically get applied to other one. For example, this is one where I have applied it. This is my second one. Okay. Now this is where I have applied it, and this is my third one. So let me just copy and paste this over here. Okay. So my this to data wave have the externalized module, which is over here, which contains a error with error types and a message with error description. Okay. And this two externalizations are applied to this two particular data wave, and it is not applied to this. But now I have manually put this particular format over here. Okay. This is not externalized. This is inline. Now, if I make any change to this one, okay, for example, say, I say code, okay, and where's dot http status, okay, and now see, this is applied over here, and now as this is also externalized, it is automatically applied over here. I don't need to go and again paste it over here. But as this is not externalized, you will not see over here. Okay, that is one thing. Another thing, when you externalize your data wave and you put anything over here, you don't need to save it. Okay. Now if I remove this, for example, I don't need to save it. Okay, it will automatically applied. But if I make any changes on this one, I need to explicitly save that. See, you got this save all option or save option. Okay. So how you use your externalization wherever it is not applied. So if you see this option, this right option, to externalize your data wave, you use this file and then you give the location where your file is present. Okay. So here you can see this is my file location. Okay. But another thing you need to take care is whenever you're applying this to any of this, whatever data you have over here, if you apply that, it will get overridden. Okay. So you need to take care. For example, at present, I have this one, right? I will just save it somewhere. I will just save it here. Now I have changed this. Let me change this. Okay. And I'm not changing this one, my file, and I will say DWL slash error response dot DWL. Okay. Now if I see, it overrides that. Okay. So you need to be careful when you even copy or when you inline anything like that. Okay. That it doesn't override your code. So I will just simply take it again and I will put it here so that it is saved. Okay. I hope you got what externalization of DataWeave means, the DataWeave script. And this is very much useful for reusability, so that if you have a DataWeave at different places, but you want to use the same code, and in future, if you are changing and it should change the other scripts as well at other location, then externalize that so that changing at one place will impact other as well. You don't need to manually go and keep on tracking and changing the script at different locations. How to do it in DataWeave Playground? What need to do in DataWeave playground? Two function which we can import as file and use it. Okay, in that file you want one more function. In DataWeave playground we cannot externalize. That is a tool just to test your script. We don't externalize it over there. Okay, so playground is just to test your script. It doesn't work like that where it will externalize. But for function, yes, I can show you that. So I will go to my code again. Okay, say I am using my replace function here. Again, stream I will say replace response value and value with replace. Okay, I will save it. This is my function. I'll go to my DataWeave here. Say replace response function. I'll give it a name C. Okay, and if I want to use particularly, then I need to use it like this. Okay, this is how I need to use it. If I am not providing star from module, then I need to provide my file name and individually I need to call it this way. I hope you got that. Okay, any other question on this part before I jump on the Java thing, how you call Java from your DataWeave? No, we are good. Okay, now another very important thing is Java. Okay, how to call a Java function from your DataWeave. So let me first show you the Java what I have written, and it is very basic one. What I have written is, so I have a class DataWeave session greeter, okay, where I'm creating a welcome message. I'm taking the input as first name and last name, and I'm saying like using the first name last name, send a message where hi, then whatever name I'm giving, welcome to the DataWeave session of MuleSoft beginner training. Okay, this is my code what I've written. Now just for an example, I'm showing that I know we can do it directly from DataWeave, but how we call Java from DataWeave. Okay, always give a package name, okay, to this. Don't keep it default as a best practice. Okay, this is my class over here, my Java function. This is my package. Now to call this, what we use is, now there are some keywords. First you need to use this import Java with the exclamation. This is important. Okay, then you need to have your Java package name, which is, for me it is com.java. Okay, then the class. Okay, this is what you do. Then within that class, what different function you have, like for me it is create welcome. So if you know about Java, like main is the default, we need to have main, but I have my custom function which is create welcome. Okay, and that's what I have defined over here, and in that I need to give two different parameters because this is a parameterized one and it returns a value. Okay, so again import Java, then you need to give your package name, your class name, then when you're calling your class and your function name. Okay, so now we will run this. And we'll see how this give me the output. Okay, so just let me stop sharing once and I will start sharing. Okay, I will start sharing my screen again. So yeah. So this is my code running. Okay, so now this is my input where I'm running at localhost and I'm giving two query parameter, first name and last name, and then I will hit it. And here I got my message. Okay, hi Abhishek Gurwal, welcome to the DataWeave session of MuleSoft beginner training. So this is how the logic or the script you use to call your Java function. Okay, there are different connectors available. Okay, you can use that, but you can also use DataWeave. Okay, so this is just to show like how powerful DataWeave is. It can also call your Java functions within your application. Okay, so now out of this you want to apply any other logic to the output, so you can simply do that. So you don't need to have different connectors, one to call it, then get the payload and do it. No, you can simply do it within your DataWeave and you can get the output within itself. Okay, so that's what I want to show. I will share you some link. So I have created some blog on DataWeave, and there is a series what I've created, a 12 session of series which talks all about DataWeave. Okay, so you can use this whatever I've explained. This series and this blog have that in it. Okay, so that's what. Jackie, you there? Anyone else want me to explain anything? Please let me know. You want?
Yeah, I'm here. So we have done.
Yeah, I'm quite done.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. So, guys, we have just discussed some of the important things related to data wave, so what I will do, so whatever code and whatever we written, we will upload to the GitHub in next 2-3 hours. So you can access all the script and all the example sample which we have used in today's session, and you can practice yourself basically, right? If you have any questions, just reach out, right? So we can help you out there. Yeah. And anything else, like anything want to discuss? Anyone want to discuss anything or any question? Any feedback? Anything, or if you want to see any specific things? No question. Yeah, I think so tomorrow we're going to discuss more about the database connector and object store connector. So like in tomorrow's session, we will just talk about object store, database connectors, and few other things basically. Okay. So tomorrow I think we have a day 9 training, and then we will follow up with two more session, day 10 and day 11. On day 11 we have some kind of training vouchers. So we're going to provide a 10 training voucher, sorry, certification voucher, not training voucher, it's certification voucher. Yeah. Okay. So we will have a quiz. So depending on, we will have a 10 questions basically, depending on what we have learned in the sessions. Right. And also I gave one of the project. Anybody try to attempt that particular project? No one, right? Yeah. That's fine. Just try to attempt that project. It will helpful. Okay, Hari. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a nice weekend. Let's meet tomorrow again. We're going to see more important concept in tomorrow's session. Thanks, Abhishek. Thank you so much for taking the session. Thank you. Bye. Have a nice
Thank
day.
you, Jackie. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.